Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
I am joined right now with Gavin Walker. Sir, thank you very much for joining me and to have a conversation about your fight with Justin Goodin. This bout you've got coming up, the implications of a win could lead to something a lot bigger. Does this factor into your preparation mentally?
Of course. I mean, for me, it's probably the biggest fight of my career, because not just because it's the UMMAF, but I mean, it's a benchmark fight for me. I need to win this to have a title fight in March, and I'm a pretty popular fighter around my area, and I'm getting well known around in other states. But this fight is, I mean, it's huge, because you're going to go to Arizona and fight, and if you win there, you're going to go to the UFC Fan Expo, and you're going to have a ton of pros watching you. And given that I'm only 23 years old, they're going to really look at that and see that I can go places. So I mean, I train for every opponent like it's Tyson. He's no different than anybody else I've trained for, but there is definitely a little bit more pressure on for this fight because it is such a big deal, and I've definitely put in my work, but I've treated him no different. I've just made sure that I've worked extra hard for this fight and haven't missed any days, stayed on my diet, and don't mentally psych yourself out. I'm my own worst enemy. So that was probably the main thing going into this fight, is know that I can go in there and do this because I'm a better fighter. I've trained harder, I've trained longer, and that's pretty much it.
I was going to say, a mental aspect is a huge part of it. The mental strength to push yourself through training, to have the strength to believe in yourself, but at the same time, like you say, not psych yourself out, not beat yourself out of a fight before it's even began. It's a lot of fighters' downfall, really, that is.
It's very true, very true. I mean, I think the new Creed movie that came out, Stallone says that, he tells Creed to look in the mirror and he says, tell me what he sees. Like, myself, he said, that's your biggest enemy. And he says, I believe that's true in the ring and in life. And, me, I'm never scared of the guys I fight. There's not been one guy that I've been absolutely just like, oh man, I don't want to fight this fight, I'm not scared of anybody. Every time I go into the ring, I fight myself. Because I am capable of great things. I know that the good Lord bless me with that, and I put in the work, and there's no reason I shouldn't do my job. It's just, but when you start thinking about, oh, what if I lose? God, who's watching? Everybody knows that I lose, and Lord Mac's girlfriend's going to see that I lost, and all this other stuff. In your head, you can't put that in there. You have to just go in there and be sure of yourself, and I do a lot of praying, but that's what works for me. So.
Now you have you have an athletic background, not just in MMA, but with the American football as well. That sport, they've just had Super Bowl. Broncos just went and won there against the Panthers, but the sport itself, it's a very stop-start style of sport. Okay, it's very explosive, it's very powerful, but it's momentary. It's literally whistle goes, the movement happens, and then there's a few seconds and it stops. How was your transition from American football to MMA? Because MMA is a 5-minute round. It's not you can explode. Then the pacing of it's completely different, and the way you exert yourself.
I think you are right. I mean, it is. There are rest points in MMA. When you get tired, you do. There are things you can do to allow yourself some rest. But it is. You're 100% right. It's completely different from football. Football, you're getting rest after every play, and even if you're trying to, get back on the ball, you still have time. And for me, it wasn't too terrible of a transition. I mean, I started when I was 17, and training and everything. It was definitely different. I'd never done anything like it, but for me, it was more learning the skills and everything, because I literally knew nothing. I just knew how to brawl. And but once you train your body, my body's very quick to adapt. I was a bodybuilder before I got back into fighting, and like my first bodybuilding workout, I threw up. And then, came in and fixed it. I was like, man, I've been a football player. I've been lifting weights my whole life. And it was just different training. So my body, usually the first day I'll go into whatever sport that I'm pursuing, I'll drag. It'll just be awful. And then that second day, it's like, okay, I can do this. My body adapts really quick. But so for me, like, as far as pushing yourself and just having determination, just fighting through the pain, I was a tough guy. I mean, I was used to that. So that wasn't hard to come into MMA. But definitely, as an amateur, you got 3 3-minute rounds. So that was fine, but at our gym we train 5-minute rounds, 6 to 7 5-minute rounds, you know. And when you're fighting somebody, when have you fought somebody for 5 minutes, you know? I can't think of a street fight that I've fought that's lasted for 5 minutes before somebody broke it up or I knocked them out. So definitely have to train your cardio, and that's the biggest thing for heavyweights, is, you know, I mean, it's just how long can you go?
I was going to say that is a huge factor. I've spoken to heavyweights before. With your background with the American football, do you feel the conditioning helped in that factor? Do you think that really played a part? Having that, you obviously had that conditioning beforehand. Do you think it helped?
I think partially, yeah. I mean, I think it definitely helped, you know, having a football background rather than being someone who's really never played sports and just come into MMA. You know, and there are some kids who are just naturals at everything that they do, but in the heavyweight division, not so much. But I do think that either way, I mean, cardio is something that I think every heavyweight really has to bust more than anything. You know, honestly, kind of more than your skill and more than everything else. You have to. That's the only thing in your control. You know, that's the only thing you can do. And it's discouraging sometimes when you've been going for months and months and you feel good about your, you know, week 4 you'll feel good about your cardio, and then week 5 you're like, man, why am I breathing heavy today? And it is the only thing that you can control. And I've had to personally bust it because I'm mostly muscle, and muscle. I think I have, you know, maybe 10% body fat on me, and the more muscle you have, the more oxygen it requires.
Yeah.
So I really have to extra do my cardio just hardcore, and it's different from football because you kind of have to push yourself that extra mile. Like, you can go to class and do your cardio there, but, you know, on Sundays, you know, I'm doing 10 rounds of shadow boxing with the training mask, running a mile, doing 4 rounds on the heavy bag, a couple rounds of jump rope. You know, you kind of have to push yourself to make yourself do the cardio.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, it does kind of come down to just power of will.
Yeah, I was going to say, the more muscle it can be detrimental, but you have to be very smart in the way you fight. You know, you can't just go out there and try and be you can't sprint, because you won't last the full length of the fight.
Exactly.
I imagine for yourself then, you know, with that muscle mass, because your heart isn't any bigger than anyone else's. You know, everyone's heart is the size of roughly of a fist, so there's no greater difference. You get the same heart pumping, the blood round, so you do have to be careful about getting your heart rate up. If it gets hot, if your heart rate gets high, you have to try and calm it down to try and oxygenate yourself a bit better. Do you then, like you say, with the cardio that you're doing, when you're grappling, is this something you have to work on? I imagine it. Do you try to push yourself, see where your limits are, so you know how to pace yourself?
When it comes to grappling, I feel. I train with the best guys around. I mean, I really do. I'm training with Adam Primetime Townsend, Jonathan Pierce, Dustin Walden, Ian Boxhorn. You know, all these really good fighters, and they're smaller than me. You know, so when I grapple and stuff, I do like to go with, you know, if I'm doing cage work and so, I like to go with bigger guys to feel that pressure. But it's honestly harder going with the littler guys because, one, they're pros and they're very good at what they do. Two, you know, they know how to distribute their weight, and they have more cardio than I do. They have more cardio than anybody that I know.
Yeah.
So going with them helps me the most. When it comes to grappling, I can roll for a while. I mean, I really don't get too tired grappling. There are those times where you get in that position that just really sucks, and you're like, oh man, just get off me, you know. But the main thing I think that tires me out the most, and it tires everybody. I mean, every time we come to class, we're like, we dread wrestling. You know, we're good at it, and you have to do it. But I think, you know, I played around wrestling with some of the guys in high school, getting ready for matches. I never wrestled in high school, but it's very tiring. I think that whole, you know, sprawling, backing up, working your underhooks while somebody's digging their shoulder into you, that I think drains your cardio more than grappling does. I feel very fluid with rolling. The more calm you are, you know, rolling and grappling, the easier you are. If you get in those positions and you start freaking out, you know, if you get full mounted, you start freaking out, you're obviously going to gas a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But if you just remain calm and all that, and I do think grappling and wrestling is just an area that you can never fully master. I think that's just something you can always improve on. And I know I've had to really, you know, work it. I had to stop muscling guys to do what I want. You know, I needed to learn the technique and slow down and control my breathing. And we've been working on that a lot.
Yeah, you nailed it on there, because, like you say, the pummeling, that people who've never done it before, they won't know how hard it is. Like, my shoulders go on fire when you're pummeling hard for a while, and then when you break up and you try to do some striking, it feels like you're punching through tar. There's no speed, there's no power. It just feels like slow motion.
It does, exactly. Yeah, pummeling, and that's what a lot of people don't realize about pummeling. When they see that done, a lot of people just use their upper bodies. But if you watch, really good wrestlers, you watch their feet.
Yeah.
They're, throwing their left foot forward, and then when they switch, they're throwing their right foot forward. And they're moving. It's a full body exercise, and you kind of look at that, and you're like, well, when would I ever use that in a fight? But when you get up against the cage, you're working those underhooks. That's exactly what it is. It's exactly what you've been practicing. So it's a very useful drill.
Yeah, it's interesting talking to heavyweights because it is a big factor, the fact that they can sustain a good tempo for so long, but then like the cardio factor comes in. Some guys don't maintain it. Like when I was looking at your information, looking at your background, I thought about Matt Mitrione as an example because he did the football. He had the footballing background, the American footballing background, and he is an explosive. Like he's really quick off his feet. He's got that that sprinter kind of burst that it puts a lot of fighters off when he fights them. They get caught out by how fast he is for a guy that size. I imagine that's something like yourself. You kind of use that though as a weapon as well, even though it's being explosive can be a bit draining. I imagine that's one of your kind of weapons that you like to use.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, me. I just came back into fighting in July from bodybuilding, so there's definitely a lot of factors that play into that. Cage experience is a huge one. The more experience you get in the cage, the more you're going to develop your own fighting style and kind of know when to turn it on and turn it off. And my last two fights, I fought very technical, which wasn't. It's very good. You don't see that from many heavyweights, and it was enough to get the job done. But you also do leave that in the judge's hands when you do that, and so you do have to kind of pick. I feel the best thing for me is exactly what you said. Kind of calm down and pick your shots. Know when to explode and when not to explode. Basically, almost every heavyweight I've fought, they like to come out and just try to take my head off. That's the first thing they want to do. And the guy I'm fighting, he's got a one direction. He's going to come out and try to destroy me. I mean, that's what. And some guys can do that, hold that pace for a long time. Me, I don't like to do that. That's just not me personally. I like to remain relaxed and keep my heart rate at a good pace. So when I see the shot, I'm going to explode and take it and go in a flurry. That's the smartest way to fight, I feel.
Well, if Justin brings his style and you've got your style, that makes it for quite an interesting bout then with the pair of you, because you're two different styles who can implement their game plan, who can implement their style in the fight to make it more effective. It is an interesting fight, and like I say, that what's even kind of more interesting is that it's a qualifier, like we say, to potentially progress on to end up fighting at UFC Fight Week, at the World Championships, which again, huge exposure, huge opportunity, and just really good experience. I love what they're doing. I love the work that the UMMAF are doing to get the exposure and also to get the experience for these fighters like yourselves. Now, the opportunities, it's really kind of helping the amateur scene. It gives it more meaning. It gives yourselves a bit of a goal to shoot for as well before you want to even hit the pro ranks.
Exactly. Yeah, it 100% does. I think it's a great opportunity, and it doesn't come around very often. And a lot of amateur MMA has been overlooked over the years. And now it's such a growing sport. And technically, it's kind of like school. Elementary school. Those little kids are going to be our future. It's the same with MMA. Amateur is going to be the future. They're going to be the future pros. And I look at it as if you win this fight, you're going down to Arizona. It doesn't matter. And if you make it to Fight Week, it doesn't matter if you get your tail beat down there, at Fight Week. It doesn't matter because they're going to look at it and they're going to say, oh, look, this dude's huge. He's 23 years old and he's lost a fight. Like, come on, we're going to give this kid a call again. You know what I mean? So it's, at the least, you're going to have a bunch of exposure. People are going to know who you are and follow you, and you never know, invite you places. You never know what could come of it. It's a huge opportunity, and I'm very blessed and thankful for it.
So you're taking on Justin Goodin. It's going to happen. It's going to be an awesome, epic fight. Before you shoot off, Gavin, how about you give everyone at home your social media stuff so they can jump on and tune in?
My social media, this one's pretty simple. My Facebook is Gavin Walker, and Gavin, then Walker, like Texas Ranger. And I think my profile pic's a picture with my shirt off with my abs. I don't remember what it is right now. And then my Instagram is all lowercase. It is gwalker65. And that's my Instagram account. I don't do Twitter or MySpace. I think I do have a MySpace floating around, but it's got a picture of me from like when I was in like middle school or something. I don't even remember. I haven't even looked at it in forever.
Don't worry about it. I had a MySpace, and I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know if it's still existing. Look, Gavin, that's your social media. People at home, jump on, give him a follow, maybe give him a bit of support on his journey that he's taken. Let's do sponsors next. That's it. We'll do sponsors, then we'll do your thanks afterwards. Have you got any sponsors helping you out?
Yeah, I do, and I felt really bad actually. My last fight, I was supposed to fight December. I think it was 5th. I think it was the 5th or the 10th. I think it was the 5th. And my opponent, he passed out at the ring. Literally at the ring. I was getting ready to walk out, so
wow.
I had all my sponsors paid. They had paid me, to fight and everything. But I've got some good help around here, some really good friends. Steve Sunbrenner, he's a good friend of mine. He actually worked for him as a bouncer at his club called Old South, and he sells insurance for State Farm, and he's helped me out a lot. Also, Justin Page of Ink Revolution Studios. He's a terrific artist. Won countless awards, best in the area. He's done all my work. Basically, every fight I have, he'll do a piece on me. And great guy, like I said. I have Dakota Mullins' mother. She helps me out. He's one of my best friends, and her mother. They run a water line company, and they drill for that and dig those. And she helps me out, sponsors me, and all that. And also, Lifestyles Fitness Center. There's a barber shop in there called JC Mail, and they are also the best in the area. And this is all in the Tri-Cities, so I don't know who wants to travel for all this, but if you're in the area, it's great. His name's Kenneth Kaiser, and he helps me out a lot as well. And that's about all off the top of my head I can think of. I hope I'm not forgetting someone. I want to hear about it later. But I'm always looking for new ones for sure. And that's those are my pretty religious ones, the ones that are about every fight, helping me out. So.
It sounds like you got some good following backing up. Yeah, it's great, mate. Honestly, and the fact that they're local, people who listen to this, if you live in the local area, go maybe see some of these places, get your hair cut and stuff like that. Last but not least, who do you want to give? Do you want to give thanks to, like, your coaches, like you say, teammates, friends, family, people like that?
Yeah, for sure. This is kind of cliche, but really, the real things does go to about. I'm very spiritual. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That is I've had a rough year. I had a very rough time. A lot of emotional and mental trauma, and the Lord has got me through it. And I feel like I'm on the path that He wants me on. I'm on the right path. I'm doing what He wants me to do. And MMA is all for His glory and to witness to the multitudes. So that's the way I do God's work. Is use my physical ability because I'm smart, but I can't afford to go to school, so I got to fight my way out. And the second thing, my team they're amazing. PK, Precision Kickboxing Academy. We go by the Evil Fight Team. Everybody in there, we push each other every day. I'd like to thank, Dustin Walden for coaching me, Ian Boxhorn, Adam Townsend, old Prime Time. He's a big name, and he's really those three guys. I'm really close to them outside of the gym as well, and I'm close to everybody in that gym. Jonathan Pierce, I'd like to thank him. He's an upcoming fighter, pro fighter, great guy. He's helped me out, giving me the mental talks before the fights and everything. I wouldn't name off everyone in the gym, but I'm going to forget somebody, so I don't want to, but I'll give it a go. Linda Gray, Alex McKinney, Brandon Bell, Robert, cannot remember his last name off the top of my head. I've got 4, and then I can't remember. I'm freaking out because I can't remember everybody right now. There's way too many. Stephen Hagg comes down and trains with us. Brandon Bell from Kentucky, he comes down. And Matt McKenna, he's also my boss at work, but I fight with him too, so that's fun. We get to punch each other in the face while we're on our work break.
Yeah, sounds good.
But all those guys, I like to thank my mom and dad. They're terrific parents. Couldn't ask for more. They've been with me through it all, and all my family, friends, who support me and follow me on Facebook and just really wish me the best. I can't say enough of how great that is to have them in my life. So I'm very blessed.
Awesome. Sounds like you got an absolutely fantastic circle of people there. Honestly, Gavin, thank you very much for your time. I want you to have a great fight. I want you to have a great time. Just enjoy the whole weekend and experience, alright?
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate that.
No, our absolute pleasure for having you on.